Thanks so much for joining me for my late, but better than not at all, probably the best one you're going to get. Preview of the Miami Hurricanes at Texas A&M. If you're brand new here, I'm Bobby Dirkens. If you don't know that by now, you need clinical help. That makes two of us. New here, subscribe button. Pass it on to anybody who likes to talk college football. And, yeah. Also, just want to let everybody know right now, this is a live stream. Some people have been telling me, Bobby, your sound sounds terrible. And I just thought they were being mean and making fun of my wife. And I went back and listened to it, and it sounded like somebody breathing into the phone. And I was like, look, I'm not into that stuff. And also, it costs money. I ain't doing this. So, please let me know if I think maybe I've got it fixed. Please let me know how the sound is on your side. And let me know if it sounds any better. I'm going to dive right into this Miami Texas A&M game. This is one of them games that if you're looking at it discriminatively, you'll realize that these teams is at two different crossroads. One team had the entire world at their feet. And that's Texas A&M. Texas A&M, they you know, were they overranked? Like most teams are, yes. You know? But they not only lost last week, they lost to a team. Now, I like upstate. And I'm a big Chase Bryce fan. Chase Bryce, a former Clemson quarterback. Had we had him last year, no offense, DJ, two of those three games we wouldn't have lost, and we possibly wouldn't have lost that very first, and based off of our quarterback threw the only touchdown of the game for the other team. So, you can argue about it. History's history, but I'm just saying, I'm talking about if Chase Bryce would stay, it is what it is. But to lose to a team who the previous week lost to an ACC football team that neither one of them could stop each other. I mean, there was over 120 points scored between those two teams. So, you know, there's no defensive juggernaut. And for them to turn around the very next week, go to Texas A&M, and hold A&M to 14 points, and on top of that, listen to me, on top of that, hold their offense to only 7 points because 7 of the 14 points came from a kick return. So A&M at home couldn't even move the ball against a team who couldn't stop an ACC football team in North Carolina who couldn't even, they're still trying to find themselves since losing Sam Howell. Okay? So that is just, if you want me to get on here and tell the truth, I'm going to tell it. Now, Lou Patton's he's been a good supporter of my channel and these big Texas A&M guys, so this is nothing personal. I'm just diving into this. On the other hand, you got Miami Hurricanes hiring Cristobal. Let me tell you this. Cristobal is the best hire Miami has made since Butch Davis, and then going ahead and passing the torch on to Larry Coker because Larry knew the system. I know things didn't turn out the way that everybody wanted it with Larry. That was not a bad move. After that, Miami must have smoked some of that something that they get down there every now and again, because they started making some of the most bumfuzzled hires you could ever imagine. And it's like, why are you doing this? Why are you hiring this person or that person or blah, 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 blah. Woo, please, and where's you? We got the chain. And I love the very first thing that Cristobal did was he got rid of that chain. And I'm going to tell you why. I know everybody has their little thing, but I'm telling you, I'm not against that stuff. If you can't get excited about playing major college football, I don't want you on my team. I don't care who you are. You know, and you see that he got rid of that immediately. He said that's not a part of their culture. Love it. Love it. Great call, Mario Cristobal. Great hire. He'll have to prove otherwise, but we see how good he was at Oregon. We saw what Oregon did against Georgia. Okay? All right? I know they lost some people, but the cover's not bearing up there. It just is what it is. So Miami made a fantastic hire. I know I got some comments in here, but I'm going to talk about them in just a second. I'm going to dive right into this. Continue. So Max Johnson, Brad Johnson's son, the NFL quarterback, his son transferred from LSU to Texas A&M. Everybody thought the guy was going to start. Did they start him? No, they didn't. Started somebody else. Well, now he supposedly, the rumor is, going to get started against Miami. So the game is going to be, as I said, in College Station. It's going to be 9 Eastern Standard. Remember, for everybody on the East Coast like myself, that part of the country is actually an hour behind us. It's Central Time. So, you know, for all the Southerners out here who's going to be watching the game, East Coasters, it's going to be 9 o'clock kickoff. Right now, Vegas has Texas A&M around a 6-point favorite. Okay? They're around a 6-point favorite. And I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. First of all, dive into a couple of numbers. You know me, I'm just not going to sit here and read numbers. If you want to read numbers, go read numbers. You want somebody to break down the blocking scheme and everything. There's channels in that, and Lord, they're good. 79% of them are boring as piss, but they're good. And there's a few of them just really good at what they do, and I actually enjoy watching them. You just don't know which one I'm talking about. Miami's quarterback, Van Dyke, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 454 yards. Okay? Look, it's Bethune-Cookman and Southern Miss. Okay? If you know my theory about football, you know one thing. Beat a bad team bad. If they're bad, beat them bad. If you don't beat them bad, A, what are you doing? B, get your tail out of your behind and beat them. And if you can't, what does that say about you? You're not as good as you think you are. So they've done that. Parrish Jr., 217 yards on the ground. We got this kid that I'd have to hark up half a lung to pronounce his last name. 11 reception, 170 yards, 1 touchdown. Restrepo, I think that's it. Then you got Max Johnson. He's going to come into the game. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's running name. Ashane, 108 yards. Smith, about 185 receiving. Points per game, once again, I really don't like this because who has Miami played? They're averaging 50 points per game, only allowing 10 points per game, 518 on the ground, yada, yada, yada. Only allowed 286 yards, which for me and the teams that they've played, that's a little high. That should be at least, to me, below 250, if not around 200. On the Texas A&M side, they're only averaging 22.5 points per game. When you consider who they've played to this point, they started off with Sam Houston. Sam Houston is a team they should easily overmatch. I don't care how good they are in FCS. They are Sam Houston. You should be hammering them. Texas A&M, you have some of the best players money can buy. That's why you went out and bought them. And then you lost this past week. So I can't imagine what College Station is like right now. I can't imagine what it's like. I don't want to even want to. Right now you're giving up about 256 yards. This is a really interesting game to me because, let's be honest with ourselves. I started off like this. Who has more to lose in this, A&M or Miami? Miami with a first-year coach. They're just happy to get. They're 2-0. They know they have some retooling. You know, he's having to get the defense out of their mind where it's like, hey, we picked off the ball. Where's that tacky chain? It's just like, go over there and sit your tail down. You're supposed to be, we recruited you to pick off the ball, you idiot. Please don't tell me that you're dumber than what you look right now. Go over there and celebrate with your team. Get the crowd pumped up. We got rid of that trash. We got it back to that drug cartel lord, and he's back in Colombia. I like that. I'm telling you, I like that move. I like that move. When you can only do anything based off of emotion, guess what happens when the emotions crash? You crash. So, good move on Cristobal. I think that Cristobal is right now the better coach between he and Jimbo. Jimbo's won national championship, and Jimbo this, and Jimbo that. That's over, folks. It's over. It's over. Texas A&M, their patience is running thin with this man. They came in and paid him a lot of money. They paid him a lot of money. Who has more to lose this week? Coming off of this loss. And for anybody who's going to get on here and tell me about Texas A&M's recruiting, listen to me. Texas A&M has been recruiting really good for a long time. Yeah, we've waited a lot. So I can't imagine how much more the people who's paying a lot of money and the donors and all this bunch of stuff, I can't imagine how that's like nails on a chalkboard here. You just wait. Yeah, we've been waiting. You had a good recruiting class and another good recruiting class, and that's what we heard with the other guy. And then we heard with the guy before that. If you're in the state of Texas, even if you're a small school, that state is so huge and has so much football talent in it that even their small, insignificant schools should be able to soak up the 2- and 3-star talent there to where they could go on the road and play almost anybody and beat them. Period. Why am I wrong? Why would I be wrong? Huh? Got waxing year? Been drinking a little too much? Hadn't been drinking enough? Think about it. But I tell you right now, Miami, the problem is Miami's only played 2. One really bad team, one team. You really don't know where they're at. They're overranked at 13. I got my computer over here. I ain't having an episode, right? A&M was overranked. This is week 3, okay? This is starting to slowly working itself out. There's teams that was in the top 10 who shouldn't even smell the top 20. They should have been about 21, 22 at best. And it's getting scathed away. It's getting circumcised, so to speak. My point is that this is starting to fix itself out as you get in 5, 6, 7 weeks in. I've even told my Clemson faithful about this, about Clemson. You know, we've had, tomorrow we'll play Louisiana Tech. We need to beat the crap out of them. We need to fix problems because next week we're going to play Wake Forest. They're not amazing, but I think they'll be the best team we've played so far. And then the week after that, it's on with NC State, okay? It's on with NC State, all right? And we can't be playing around with that. We got Florida State's getting better. Syracuse seems to be a better football team than what they thought. Notre Dame is a big letdown, and then we got Miami. So you no matter who you pull for, it's time to get your crap together. Especially if you have these small teams you've been playing. For Miami, there's a part of me that don't even know who's going to win this game. I hate to say it like this, but it's kind of who wants it more. And I'm going to lean towards Miami might want this more because they're building. And Texas A&M is licking their wounds. Texas A&M was not supposed to win that game, or wasn't supposed to lose that game. What they were supposed to do is give that little school from Boone, North Carolina, nice hefty check. If anything, Outstate plays within a little bit of score of them. And then A&M size and recruiting and 12th man and everything takes over, wins by 3 touchdowns, sends them back up there and goes, good job. Instead, the season got wrecked. And I heard somebody say this the other day, and I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was one of the guys who wears the suits and ties on his sports thing. I don't know if his tie was a little too tight around his neck and he didn't get enough oxygen to his brain for him to say something this stupid. I beg to the good Lord that he was drunk. Because if he was drunk and said this, we could sober him up and maybe he'd get some help. Maybe he was high on crack. Have y'all ever heard of jinkum? That's where overseas where they doo-doo in a bag, let it ferment, and they get high off of it. I just found out about this. Think about how bad you have to be to want to get high that you puff. Dude, Anyway, I'm just saying, he said this the other day, he said, I guarantee you that no matter what happens today, with this, if this is a loss, the chances for Texas A&M to be in the playoffs, their hopes are not gone. What is wrong with you? It's over. All right, I don't know if somebody was slipping you a nice cold stack of cash over there to you to say that. If you're supposed to say that, maybe, I don't know. What I am telling you, you've lost your mind. A&M is not going to the playoffs because they can't beat little old Appalachian State. Appalachian State's a football team. But come on. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think A&M comes out. They're going to bust their butt as much as they possibly can. It's a toss-up, but I'm going to lean towards Miami Hurricanes to win this ball game somewhere in it. I think it'll be a nasty game. I think it will be probably messy at times, especially changing quarterbacks on the side of A&M. Even though Max Johnson is a good football player. Max Johnson is a really good football player. If I was Brian Kelly, I would have shuffled some money to him and tried to get him to stay or something. But no matter who you are, if you first time running the offense in a real game situation, it gets messy. It can be messy. Once again, this guy's ridiculous, highly recruited, comes from a good pedigree. I just think Miami wants it more. And if Miami wins this game, it doesn't mean that they're back. But Sam Ellinger. The most annoying moment in college football. Lord. But I believe it will show us that Mario Cristobal is doing a lot down there in Miami. And it's time for us to sit up and pay attention. Imagine if Southern Cal, Texas, and Miami all comes back at about the same time. What that's going to do to college football is going to make it very interesting. I call Miami wins this game somewhere in the tune of about 24-21, somewhere in that range. I don't know. By the way, everybody that's live on here, I'm in the video. Can y'all hear me well, or do you hear static, or do you hear some noise? Because I've tried to change some stuff, had some complaints about my video, said it sounded like I was running vacuum cleaner, went back and listened to it. I don't know what it was, but there's still static, and then that's something wrong with my phone. I'm sorry about that. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do now, but I'm going to try to figure out what I can do. Well, let's thank you all for joining me on here. Go through these names at the very end. Sean D. Gray Man, where's your Texas Bama recap? Gray Man, I'm sorry I did not do that. I actually meant to do that. I was at a game with my son. Then I came back, jumped on the Clemson game, jumped on a couple other things real quick. I meant to do that. What a game. What a game. The only thing I say about Texas is, can Texas get out of that loss by 1 point and move forward? I was really, you said so do it. Well, I'll turn it off and I'll do it just for you. I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't get to see most of it because I was driving. But I did go back and watch some highlights, did look at the score. The big takeaway for me, I'll do it right here. The big takeaway for me is that your second string came in. And it was incredible. That's what should scare everybody right there, is when your second string comes in. And when I saw Ewers go out, I went, there it is. There's how Bama tears the apart. That Card Young, and he came in, he played the game of his life. And some questionable calls has went on in that game. Unfortunately, that is how the ball rolls. But I'm not going to say that Texas is back, but I will say losing that game to Alabama versus the other seasons with Herman and Sark, where you go and you lose games that you're sitting there scratching your head going, hey, I don't care if you are a first-year guy. We got a ton of talent. We shouldn't be losing this game. That is more understanding. It just did. But I've got my eye on them. Do I think they're better than OU at this point? The verdict's out on that. That's an emotional game. You know what I'm saying? That's an emotional game. You understand what I'm saying? We've seen OU go out there and just be amazing, and Texas beat them. So it's hard for especially somebody, I don't know where you're located, but here on the East Coast, it's not involved with those schools all the time. It's just sitting and watching them. It's hard to get a good grasp on everything with them, but from the outside looking in, sometimes that's the best point of view you can have. Sometimes you can be so engulfed in the rivalry or your team, you can't see obvious things. I think it happens to coaches all the time. Really smart coaches, they'll make something way too hard when it's like, they start treating it like trigonometry. But when it's actually addition, like I can't stand for a quarterback. If you have a quarterback who's like 6'5", and your line's kind of okay, and it's 4th down and half a yard, why are you lining up the shotgun formation, Clemson? Just said that out loud. I don't care. Shotgun formation. And by the way, I found out this week that we could go under center. I was there and saw it in person. I just don't know why we're not doing a 4th down half a yard. But on the outside looking into the Texas, Oklahoma, I can't judge who is good based off of that game because it is such an emotionally based game. As I said, Texas has beat Oklahoma when they were not supposed to, and we both know that. Where I sit back and look at Texas and say, how good are they? I'll look at them, how they're going to play. And this is my philosophy. I know people are calling me hopping off here, especially watching later on if they watch the end. I doubt they'll get in here, but since you're here, I'll talk to you and talk to somebody else. When Clemson parted ways with Tommy Bowden, you need to think that Tommy Bowden had beat teams that nobody at Clemson in the 90s could beat. Couldn't beat Florida State. It was 2003 for the first time we beat Florida State. For the time in, I think, 2005, Clemson went down to Miami, beat a really good Miami team, and then the very next week went to Duke and lost in Durham. My point is all of this, when you're looking for a team who's getting better, you're looking for consistency. So for Texas to lose that game by 1 point, it's actually not a bad thing. It's not good. You want to win, but my point is, they didn't get blown out. Where I really pay attention to teams who are trying to rebuild is when they beat the teams they're supposed to beat, win the games that it's a toss-up, and then on the games they're supposed to get to Heine's Bank. Because up and down is hard to sell to recruits, and up and down is even harder to try to get your team to respond to you and build really good mindset with the team. You can't do that. You can't. How do you explain 1 week beating Miami, a top 5 Miami team back then, and then losing to the Duke Doctors the very next week? You can't. And that was just not one instance. That happened over and over. Where Clemson changes when Sweeney came in and he beat the teams he was supposed to beat and beat them back. He won the toss-up games. And then even won some of the games he wasn't supposed to. That's how we knew we were back. And back better than ever. Clemson's never been this good. Consistent. They have. So that's what I look for with Texas. When you go out and you have to play, and I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I'm just going to say this. When you go out and you play Kansas, do you take it as serious as you take it when you play Alabama? When you play K-State, you're going to take it serious. When you play any of those teams that's lackluster, Texas Tech, they're good one year and bad the others. Fire a coach, he'll be bad that year and they'll be okay, and then they'll do bad and they'll fire him and try to get somebody else. You know how it works. How do you respond? Do you win the games you're supposed to win the toss-ups, and then play close in the games you're supposed to just absolutely get shellacked? That's how you know when a team is back. So I look forward to seeing how Texas responds, because a lot of teams can get up and fired up, and have especially the early season, excitement. You go play some team and say, yeah, we're going to do it. And then all of a sudden, you lose that one ball game, and now you got to go play Doo-Doo State. And then you lose to Doo-Doo State, and you're like, whoa, what happened? Well, you wouldn't. That's like Clemson. Clemson did not care to play Furman this week. I was there. Furman was playing. I called him Vermin. That kind of thing. Furman, that was their Super Bowl for the year. Clemson, that was just a passing run for them. And you could tell the difference. Right down to the way that the receivers for Furman ran their routes. You have to, especially when you're trying to regain dominance, or just some form of quality. You have to remember that I'm looking at the Texas plays UTSA. UTSA is not a pushover. Texas Tech. If you've gotten better, you should beat Texas Tech. You should beat West Virginia. You should beat K-State, TCU, Kansas. The toss-ups there obviously is Oklahoma, Baylor. Think about if you win those other games. That's the point I'm trying to make. You can't walk Pee Wee Herman up to me. You can't walk Pee Wee Herman up to me. And me try to take him serious unless Pee Wee shows me something. Pee Wee Herman looks at me and remembers that the first rule in fighting is there are no rules in fighting. And I'm like, I think he's just going to man up and punch me in the face. He grabs a chair and slams me, and then he grabs me by the throat, and he says, you're going to pay attention to me. Now I got to respect it. But if Pee Wee comes up, squirts me in the face with a fly, some water in my face, and thinks that's going to, I'm going to take him seriously, obviously I'm going to trounce him. My stupid point in all of this is, Texas, if you want us to take us serious, win the games you're supposed to win. Beat bad teams bad. Win the toss-ups. And play really good in the games you're supposed to get your butt whipped. And that raises, that builds consistency mentally with your teams and with your fan base. Alright? But just going out there, and let's say you beat Oklahoma, but you turn around and you lose to West Virginia. What's up with that? What is up with that? So, UTSA is not a pushover. They are not a pushover football team whatsoever. I think they're one of the good stories in college football. But, I know last year was really good for them. This year, hadn't really followed them at much. But, I always like to see little teams like that do pretty good. Looking down through here, got Tyler in here. Maybe they tell you, Tiger Man, Gray Man, Minton, B-Bean, Lester A.K. Laser. Lester, you got me. Tiger Man, maybe they tell you. Got cheeky breaky. Don't break my cheeky, breaky. Jonathan Evans, Charlie. Sean Gary. Alright, I'm about to get off here. 30 minutes. I went way farther than I wanted to go. Sorry about the sound. I gotta figure out what's going on here. I don't know what's going on. Check out my site. I'll put a link in a little later. You can support the channel there. It's an easy way to support it, and I'll be uploading some stuff, as I go. And beware, there's that guy, not Bobby Dirkens. Don't go look at him. Not Bobby Dirkens. What a dork. Can't stand the guy. Idiot. Probably makes moves on Oakland. Horrible. Yeah, Adam and Tim, they go too. Tyler, you sold on K yet, or you think Dabo will keep DJ? Here's my argument. DJ was playing against Furman, but we both know that last year, even playing against Furman, he wouldn't have made a lot of the throws he's made. So he did against Tech, he did against this. Two bad football teams, kind of like Miami. Miami, we don't know who they are, but hey, at least they won, and you got a good coach, and this, that, and the other. For him, it's a week in, week out. I can't say that Cade had the play calls this past week because he only came in, one or two plays, or one or two sets, that complimented him. And between you and I kind of wonder if that was on purpose. I know they swear on a stack of written Bibles that they didn't do that. And maybe they did. Purpose. But the play calls just really did. I wanted to see him run the RPO and take the ball. One player y'all have heard me probably talk about recently is Grayson McCall down there at Coastal Carolina. That youngin, I think, is the best RPO. I said RPO. I didn't say he's the best quarterback overall. Get the dookie out of your ears. I just said I think he's the best RPO quarterback in the country. I've never seen anybody pull the ball that fast and have the ball swung accurately 30 yards down the field to a receiver in stride. So I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked to have seen Cade Klubnik actually pull the ball and take off running. Then again, who knows? I don't know. But I would tell you this: I'm not sold on either until I start seeing production. And the time is now, my friend. The time is now. We get Louisiana Tech tomorrow, all right? Get Louisiana Tech tomorrow. And you get Wake. I know they're no D's, but it's getting a little tougher, touch tougher. And then you got NC State. You have 2 more weeks of games before you play NC State and the majority of their returning starters, especially on defense. So, if there's offensive line issues and missed assignments, quarterback going through his rotation, putting the ball where he needs to put it, reading the defenses. Wide receivers have got to become. I'm going to tell you right now, my grandma's dead, and she's more aggressive than a couple of our wide receivers. I got a grandma right now. She's probably rotten, and she's more aggressive than our wide receivers. Okay, is that wrong to say? Maybe so. But is it true? Absolutely. So, wide receiver, Davis Allen's fantastic. Freshman, Antonio Williams, man, not only is he fast, he can catch. Lord, he can catch. And then obviously Bo Collins. I was big on Bo Collins coming out of spring last year, and man, he has not disappointed. Where I'm really wanting to see is Ngata and E.J. Williams really step it up. I know Spector's there. He's the Tyler Grisham type, and I'm not taking away from that. I'm just saying these other guys are big time. We got to get them going. Brennan Stoll, I mean, that kid, he can play. My point in all of this is I've just got to see more out of. Lord, I got to see more out of our offense. We got to get our crap together. We want to be a contender. And then if we do make it to the playoffs, let's not get our tail spanked again. It was 2 years in a row we got our head tore off. We got tore off by LSU. We got beat like a drum by Ohio State. They finally beat us after all those years. They never beat us before. They finally did it. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, that's my take on it. Everybody, thank you for joining me. And as I said, don't check out Bobby Dirkens, or that not Bobby Dirkens guy, Harvey. I heard he changes his underwear every day. I'm Bobby Dirkens. You keep showing up, I'll keep showing out. Bobby,